Hi, I'm Mark Gaylor and I'm a Sony Imaging Ambassador. I thought it'd be a good time to talk to you about how I've been using filters over the last few years. Now, and that's because FreeWell just sent me a new K2 filter system that launches today. And I wanted to talk to you about how that might impact the way I use filters moving into the future. Now, I use predominantly ND filters, and I'm using those for mainly two reasons. One is to slow the shutter speed down when I'm shooting in bright ambient light with wide aperture primes, so I can get good figure ground separation. I need to slow the shutter speed down so my movie footage flows nice and smoothly. Okay, and the second reason is when I'm shooting stills and I want to extend the shutter speed for exposures longer than 1 second. And I do that often when there's water involved and I want to smooth the surface of that water so it's not too distracting for my landscape photographs. I'm a user of predominantly prime lenses. So on a trip to the USA where I was shooting my 2-week motorcycle journey across some of the western states in the USA for charity, I was using an FX30 camera and predominantly prime lenses. Now, because of the bright ambient light and I did want to slow the shutter speed down, I wanted to put ND filters on my lenses. Now, some people might choose just one variable ND filter that they move from lens to lens. But when you're changing lenses as often as I am, having a screw filter thread on a filter is just going to slow your workflow down enormously. The other word of warning about this is don't try to save money on these variable ND filters. You'll end up with color shifts. You'll end up with vignetting, you might end up with artifacts when you turn the variable ND filter too far. So buy the best quality variable ND filter you can afford to avoid that, or do what I was doing, which was to put a fixed ND filter. I was using an ND16 on all 3 of my prime lenses, so the filter was already in place. That is an unnecessary duplication of purchases, obviously, because we're buying the same filter 3 times. So let's take a look at how I would prefer to work with filters, and that is with the FreeWell Quick Swap magnetic filters. Now, I've got 3 of my prime lenses here. I've got the 20mm f1.8, I've got the 35mm G Master, which is 1.4, I've got the 85mm 1.8, and I've got the Batis 135 2.8. Now, they all share the same 67mm filter thread. Now, I put a FreeWell magnetic ring on each of these 4 filters. So when I choose one of my quick swap filters, I can put it on my 20mm, I can quickly move it to my GM or the Batis or to the 85. The other great thing about these particular lenses is I can also stack 2 filters. And again, you can see how quickly it is just to move both filters. So I've got the option of using an ND8, an ND64, or stacked together an ND512. So I get the flexibility I need when shooting either stills or video. Now, that quick swap filter system has been the one that I've been using predominantly for the last 12 months. Now, I'll just take these 2 filters off because I have got increased flexibility above and beyond these 4 prime lenses. So one of the things that I often do when I'm traveling is take more compact lenses. Now, Sony do have a range of compact primes with a 49mm thread. Now, the problem is I've got these 67mm filters, and FreeWell don't make small filters with a 49mm thread, as far as I'm aware. So what I did was I got a FreeWell step-up ring, which goes from 49 to 67, well, step down, I should say. And one of the advantages of this is I can also incorporate my HUD for one of these 3 lenses, and then I can just change the HUD from one lens to another. Now, that's not quite as quick as just the magnetic, but it is saving me buying a completely another pair of filters for these smaller compact lenses. So that's given me a huge amount of flexibility when working with these two 67mm filter threads. Of course, when you're working and you need a hell of a lot of flexibility in how you use filters, especially people who like to use circular polarizing filters and also graduated filters, this is perhaps where this new filter system might be appealing to many photographers. Now, I've had to use filter systems in the past, especially with lenses such as the 12-24 GM and the 14mm GM. There is no screw thread in which to screw the filter systems on. So they invariably require filter cages and large filter systems such as this Nissi system. Now, this is the 100mm filter system, and the 150mm glass filters take up quite a lot of size and weight. They would probably add over 1.5 kilograms to my total carrying capacity if I was taking filter systems with a whole range of filters to filter those lenses. So what I would much prefer to do is to actually use a lens where I can actually screw a filter system onto, such as my 20mm prime or maybe this 18mm Batis. You can see the inset lens of this Batis. That does mean that I've got the flexibility to stack filters and also use new K2 system. So let's take a quick look at this K2 system. It's got quite a nice packing box. I have to say that I'd probably end up leaving this fancy box at home because I do want to be able to put filter systems into my messenger bag. So what I would do, the actual bulk of the filter system is actually this, and I would probably look for a soft case to put this into and then put this into my messenger bag. If you're looking at using some of the graduated filters as well, these will pack nicely into a messenger bag. Okay, so let's take a look at this particular system that they've come up with. Okay, I'll take off the rear cap. I'll just press these two rings in to get that rear covering cap off. Now what we're going to have to do is choose one of the 4 step-up or step down rings that FreeWell provide. Here's the 67mm that will go onto my 20mm prime. I've also got inside here, by just pulling here, I can access the 77mm thread that I'll need for the Batis. Now I can just screw these on, okay, or I could attach them now to the back of the filter system like so. And that's just a 2 click, so that's a really quick attachment point there. Okay, what I'll also do is I'll take off this variable ND filter that they've given me. Now this variable, there's 2 in this kit that I've been supplied. This is their K2 versatile magnetic filter system. Okay, so and inside this kit came a 1 to 5 stop, I believe, and a 6 to 9 stop. So we've got pretty much all bases covered for just an ND2 right up to a 9 stop ND filter there. This would then attach to my 20mm, if I can locate my 20mm, like so. Okay, now there is a base CPL filter that goes in here. Now just make sure that is correctly aligned. If it's not correctly aligned, it can cause problems when you put in the graduated filters into that filter system. In order to get the graduated filters into this filter system, there's a little swing door which I wasn't immediately obvious, but that a couple of arrows there just to show that actually doesn't pull out or pull up. It actually just swings out of the way, and then we could put in a ND filter into that system like so. And so that is quite a nifty little system that we've got going there. And then I could also attach a variable onto the front here. Now it does matter how you actually position this, because if you don't position it right, it won't actually make the hard stop at 9. So you just need to locate that carefully in order to move between the 6 and 9 stops, or the 1 and 5 stops, so you get that hard stop when you turn it. I just heard a click there, so that means that now you can probably hear that hard stop as I turn that. Okay, so this is quite a flexible system. Downsides of this system, I would have to say, is the fact that it does use circular polarizing filters in order to create a neutral density filter. Advantages is that neutral density filter is variable. Downsides is when you're using it and the sun is at sort of right angles to the lens, you can get into a situation where part of the sky is darkened and part of the other sky is not darkened, so you can get an uneven exposure over skies. I have to say though that the FreeWell system does allow you to buy fixed ND to add to this K2 system as well. So if you are in instances where you are shooting at right angles, you could switch over from the circular polarizing to a fixed ND filter. So this is indeed a flexible system that many people will probably gravitate to, and of course it does have that advantages of that quick magnetic system there, and we can release it from the lens altogether just by pressing those two points there, so I can remove it from the lens altogether. So it is a quick system to use. Downsides, another downside that I should feel the need to point out is you're not using your lens hood when you're using these filter systems. Flexibility is because we've got those variable step down rings, and we've got 4 of them in the K2 kit. I can put that on a variety of lenses, and you could purchase additional step down rings if you've got a lens that isn't one of those 4 filter threads. I think we're looking at 67, 72, 77 and 82 is the maximum filter thread there. Will it impact on my workflow? I think I'll carry on with the dual quick swap magnetic filters, those two 67mm filters. I'd perhaps only use this system if I'm traveling to do a particular landscape and I want the flexibility of maybe using that graduated filter as well as the circular polarizing filters. And I possibly will go in and purchase an additional fixed ND filter for those situations where if I am shooting at right angles to the sun and I want an even exposure across the sky, then I do have that option as well. I would like FreeWell perhaps to include another carrying case just for this filter system by itself, but I'll probably just use one of my Wotan craft bags to put that in. It's got a nice magnetic cap there, and then I can just pop that into the bag and clip that bag onto my Pilot Messenger bag. So I do envisage myself using this filter system, but I'm not going to abandon the two 67mm quick swap filters anytime soon. So just let me know what you think about this new filter system, and I'll try and answer any questions if you got them. And give me the thumbs up if you found this information useful, and I'll catch you online next time.